The coastline of East Devon presents a sharp geographic division. At the edge of Sidmouth, urban development stops, and dense coastal hills immediately take over. Spanning eastward from the town is the Salcombe Ecology Network. This is a cluster of 11 distinct, highly protected ecological sites forming a major natural resource. These parcels are managed by a powerful administrative consortium. The Sid Vale Association, Sidmouth Town Council, and National Trust control the majority of this territory. This topographic map shows the core structural strength of the network. Out of the 11 protected sites, 10 are completely contiguous to one another, creating a massive, interlocking physical footprint. Because of this unbroken block of land, the network acts as the coastal anchor for the Heaths to Sea Landscape Recovery Project, a 20-year plan designed to build a continuous nature highway from the Pebblebed Heaths straight to the Jurassic coast. Housed within this footprint are highly specialized refuges. The Sidmouth to Bere Coast SSSI protects the UK's westernmost species-rich chalk grassland. The Norman Lockyer Observatory holds critical coastal lowland heath, and Milltown Lane serves as a relict forest corridor, supporting 98 recorded species, including ancient woodland indicators. Yet, the biological reality on the ground conflicts with the physical layout. Despite diverse primary habitats and contiguous property lines, local biodiversity metrics show severe drop-offs in critical native species. Avian and mammal diversity across the network register as remarkably low. Furthermore, vital pollinator groups, specifically the Hymenoptera order of bees, wasps, and ants, are severely underrepresented in the survey data. Drawing a continuous boundary line on a map secures the land legally, but it does not automatically guarantee functional ecological connectivity for the species living inside it. To understand why species are struggling to move through protected land, we have to look past the macro network map and identify the localized friction zones disrupting migration. This vector map illustrates a hard physical interruption. Salcombe Hill Road cuts straight through the continuous green parcels, bisecting the network. For small mammals and arthropods, this pavement acts as a definitive dead end, breaking the habitat into isolated islands. The second barrier classification is ecological. These are interruptions born from legacy agricultural and forestry decisions made decades ago. Page wood is a prime example. Planted as a dense conifer plantation, it forms an impenetrable biological wall for open grassland specialists. Migrating butterflies, requiring sunlight and specific flora, cannot traverse this dark artificial canopy. The unnatural density and structure of these specific conifer plantations also directly correlate to the obvious lack of woodland bird diversity across the entire network. Beneath the soil, a secondary legacy factor exerts pressure. Historic agricultural improvement techniques aggressively stripped the ground of hardy, acid-loving plants to maximize short-term yields. This resulted in the localized extinction of the Leguminosae, the pea family. Without these specific plants, the habitat is starved of the precise flora required to support Hymenoptera populations, explaining the massive drop in pollinator metrics. Through road paving, monocrop forestry, and aggressive soil stripping, historical human land use erected invisible cages inside formally protected conservation boundaries. Beyond internal microbarriers, the network faces baseline environmental stressors that actively degrade the structural integrity of its nodes before human interventions can even take root. The region is inherently unstable due to its unique sandwich geology, a heavy, porous layer of greensand resting directly over a base of impermeable mudstone. Because the mudstone traps water, the heavy greensand above it becomes lubricated and prone to shear failure. This causes critical cliffside habitats and established access paths to slide and collapse directly into the sea. Biological threats compound this physical instability. Invasive Spanish bluebell hybrids are spreading rapidly, aggressively diluting the genetics of native bluebell populations. Simultaneously, garden escapees like the Hottentot fig act as invasive colonizers, blanketing the soil and actively smothering the fragile, specialized flora that manage to survive on the cliff tops. Finally, the network suffers from anthropogenic pressure. High volumes of human visitor traffic inevitably bleed off marked trails, severely compromising sensitive ground nesting areas used by local bird populations. To counter this, management relies on enforcing strict tiered access routes, consolidating heavy foot traffic to durable paths, and completely closing off the most vulnerable zones. Preserving the existing habitat nodes requires constant active defense against both deep geological shifts eroding the foundation and invasive surface elements attacking the native biology. By early 2026, the Management Consortium strategy executes a critical pivot. They are transitioning from passive ecological surveying into a phase of active delivery and physical intervention. This diagram demonstrates halo thinning. By manually removing select trees in a ring shape, engineers create a clear column of sunlight that penetrates the dark canopy. This targeted exposure triggers the regeneration of dormant, rare flora, like violets, waiting on the woodland floor. A parallel effort is occurring at the Observatory for Heathland Recovery. Crews are executing the manual eradication of invasive rhododendron ponticum to allow the traditional scrub mosaic to revert and stabilize. To physically bridge the gap between the coastal cliffs and the inland hills, a massive engineering strategy is underway at Combe Wood Farm. The scale of this single intervention requires planting 4,500 individual trees and laying down 300 meters of continuous hedgerows to build a biological corridor from scratch. On Salcombe Hill, new linear woodlands are being planted. These are designed as climate-adaptive butterfly corridors, purposefully routed to bypass the impenetrable wall of pagewood entirely. At the same time, maintaining open habitats requires grazing. To manage livestock without building new physical fences that would block wildlife migration, the network is deploying technical innovations. Looking at this top-down map of Salcombe Farm, we see GPS-hint virtual collars. A digital polygon restricts the cattle to specific coordinates. This technology guarantees precise, low-density grazing, allowing the soil to establish high wildflower permanent pastures without ever driving a single physical fence post. Modern landscape recovery is a multidisciplinary effort. It demands everything from manual chainsaw clearing to satellite-tracked livestock management to force an ecosystem back into alignment. The data from the Salcombe Ecology Network yields a definitive operational lesson regarding modern conservation. The legal protection of 11 contiguous sites is only a baseline foundation. It secures the real estate, but it does not equate to a functioning final ecosystem. Because of decades of legacy agricultural practices and invasive forestry, the land inherently contains internal biological friction that halts natural species movement. Restoring natural ecological flow requires targeted physical interventions on the ground to actively dismantle these deeply entrenched internal microbarriers. It requires engineering entirely new connections, ranging from massive hedgerow planting projects down to community-driven nectar bridges at Almafield. And it relies on applying invisible boundaries, like virtual GPS fencing, to shape the landscape and cultivate the soil without leaving permanent physical scars that block migration. All of these active delivery efforts filter up to one macro goal: successfully finalizing the 20-year Heaths to Sea Nature Highway, anchoring it securely to a healthy coast. The future of successful landscape recovery relies on actively programming ecological flow across a territory, rather than just drawing a border around it and hoping nature sorts it out.